Right now, something extraordinary is happening inside you. Can you feel it? That restless energy pulsing beneath the surface of your everyday awareness. You didn't stumble upon these words by chance. The universe doesn't operate on coincidence. It operates on vibrational alignment, on frequency matching frequency. And your frequency has been broadcasting a signal, searching for something that can finally explain the transformation happening within your very cells. There's a force awakening inside you that defies the rules you were taught to follow. It doesn't care about social approval or fitting into boxes others created for you. This power has been dormant for so long that you almost forgot it existed. But lately, haven't you noticed something shifting? A fire igniting where there used to be only embers, a voice growing louder when you were trained to whisper. This is your primal consciousness breaking through layers of conditioning that were designed to keep you small, manageable, predictable. Every society throughout history has needed its citizens to be controllable, not free, controllable. And the most effective way to control someone isn't through physical chains. It's through mental programming that makes them believe their natural power is dangerous, inappropriate, or wrong. Think about your childhood. Every time you expressed yourself too boldly and were told to quiet down. Every moment you showed excitement and were instructed to calm yourself. Every instance when you questioned authority and were punished for insubordination. These weren't random corrections. They were systematic training designed to suppress the very essence of who you truly are. You were taught that being civilized means being tame, that maturity equals suppression, that wisdom requires you to cage the wildest parts of yourself and present only the domesticated version that makes others comfortable. But what if everything you were taught was backwards? What if the real danger isn't your untamed nature, but the prison you've been building around it? Your body knows this truth even when your mind resists it. Have you noticed the tension in your chest when you swallow words you need to say? The tightness in your throat when you perform politeness instead of expressing honesty? The heaviness in your gut when you betray your own instincts to accommodate someone else's expectations? These physical sensations aren't random. They're your primal, self-sending distress signals, alerting you that you're operating against your nature. You're a powerful being pretending to be powerless, a sovereign consciousness, acting as though you need permission to exist fully. And here's what makes this moment different from every other time you've felt this stirring. You're finally ready to stop pretending. Something has shifted in your awareness. The old justifications for staying small don't satisfy you anymore. The fear of other people's reactions doesn't control you like it used to. You're beginning to realize that the cost of containment exceeds the cost of liberation. Look around at the world you've been living in. Notice how many people seem like shells of themselves, going through motions without passion, following scripts without questioning. They're not bad people. They're not weak people. They're domesticated people. And domestication creates a very specific kind of existence where safety is prioritized over authenticity, where approval becomes more valuable than integrity, where fitting in matters more than standing out. But you're different. You've always been different, even when you tried desperately to be the same. That difference wasn't a flaw to correct. It was power trying to express itself through a consciousness that was trained to suppress it. Every time you felt like you didn't belong, it wasn't because something was wrong with you. It was because you were built for sovereignty, not submission. The people around you can sense when this power starts emerging. They may not understand what they're perceiving, but they feel it, and their reactions tell you everything you need to know about their own relationship with freedom. Those who are threatened by your expansion are still imprisoned by their own conditioning. Those who celebrate your emergence have already begun their own liberation. Watch what happens when you stop apologizing for taking up space, when you establish boundaries without guilt, when you speak truth without softening it to protect other people's comfort. Some relationships will strengthen, others will dissolve, and both outcomes serve your evolution because authentic power only resonates with authentic connection. You've been living in a frequency where your consciousness was compressing itself to match the expectations surrounding you. But compression creates pressure, and pressure eventually demands release. The restlessness you feel isn't discontent with your life. It's life force demanding expression after years of containment. This awakening isn't happening because you decided it was time. It's happening because your soul reached a threshold where remaining dormant became impossible. You can't unknow what you've discovered about yourself. You can't unsee the cage once you recognize its bars. You can't go back to performing a version of yourself that no longer matches the frequency you're embodying. Some part of you might be afraid right now. That's natural. You've been warned your entire life about the dangers of being too much, too intense, too powerful, too free. But look closely at who issued those warnings. Were they people living in joy and freedom? Or were they people trapped in their own cages, trying to convince you that imprisonment equals safety? The truth is that remaining caged doesn't protect you. It exposes you. When your natural power is suppressed, you become vulnerable to everyone who knows how to manipulate domesticated consciousness. You become prey to guilt tactics, social pressure, emotional manipulation, and authority that demands obedience instead of earning respect. But when your primal power is unleashed and integrated, when you're operating from your deepest truth instead of your trained responses, something remarkable happens. You become functionally immune to the mechanisms that control others, not because you're fighting them, but because you're operating in a reality where they simply don't apply to you anymore. Can you imagine what your life would look like if you stopped managing other people's reactions to your existence? If you expressed yourself fully without calculating whether others would approve? If you made decisions based on what's true for you instead of what's acceptable to them? This isn't fantasy. This is the natural state of consciousness that hasn't been domesticated. Children embody this before the world teaches them to shrink. Animals demonstrate this constantly in nature, and you carry this capacity within you right now, waiting beneath layers of conditioning that convinced you it needed to be buried. The fact that you're still reading these words reveals something crucial about your current state. Most people would have dismissed this message as dangerous or extreme. Their programming would have triggered immediate resistance, protecting the cage they've grown comfortable inhabiting. But your consciousness recognized something here, a frequency that matches what's awakening within you, a permission you've been seeking without knowing what you were looking for. You don't need to become something you're not. You need to stop pretending to be something you're not. The power isn't absent, it's suppressed. The sovereignty isn't missing, it's caged. And the only thing required for liberation is recognizing that the bars were never as solid as you believed. Every great transformation begins with a moment of recognition. This could be yours. Not someday when conditions are perfect. Not eventually, when you feel ready. Right now, in this exact moment, as these words dissolve the justifications you've been using to keep yourself contained. What would you do if you knew that your wildest, most authentic self was actually your wisest self? That the instincts you've been overriding with logic were actually more accurate than the thoughts you've been trusting? That the version of you that makes others uncomfortable is the version that's most aligned with your truth. You're about to discover answers to questions you didn't know how to ask. You're about to understand why you've felt different your entire life. You're about to recognize what's been stirring beneath the surface and why this moment matters more than any that came before it. Your primal consciousness is awakening. And once this process begins, there's no returning to the sleep you've been emerging from. The only question is whether you'll resist this awakening or surrender to it, whether you'll try to control it or trust it, whether you'll cage it again or finally set it free. Something fundamental shifted in human consciousness when civilization replaced community, when hierarchies replaced circles, when competition replaced cooperation. The shift wasn't just external, creating new social structures. It was internal, rewiring how humans understood their own nature and power. Before this transformation, humans lived in direct relationship with their primal instincts. Survival depended on trusting the wisdom of the body, reading energy accurately, responding to threats instantly. There was no separation between the thinking self and the instinctive self. Power flowed naturally because nothing blocked its expression. But as societies grew more complex, control became necessary for maintaining order. And control requires predictability. Wild humans aren't predictable. Sovereign consciousness doesn't follow commands without questioning them. Natural power doesn't submit to arbitrary authority. So the domestication process began, not through force alone, but through systematic conditioning that taught people their nature was the enemy. You inherited this conditioning before you could speak. It was transmitted through every interaction, every rule, every punishment and reward. Good children don't make noise. Smart students follow instructions. Successful adults conform to expectations. The message was always the same. Your acceptance depends on your compliance, and your survival depends on your acceptance. Schools weren't designed to educate you. They were designed to train you for docility. Sit still for hours even though your body needs movement. Raise your hand before speaking even though your thoughts flow spontaneously. Accept information from authority without questioning even though your instincts detect inconsistencies. Learn to compete against your peers even though cooperation is your natural state. Every aspect of the system reinforced the same pattern. Your value comes from external validation. Your worth requires proving. Your safety depends on conforming. And the most dangerous thing you could do is trust your own power without permission from those who claim authority over you. Family dynamics continued this programming. Parents who were themselves domesticated couldn't tolerate wildness in their children that reminded them of everything they'd suppressed in themselves. So they repeated the patterns. Be quiet, be good, be small, don't cause problems, don't stand out, don't challenge us, and definitely don't question the rules we're enforcing without understanding why they exist. Religious institutions added another layer. Your nature is sinful, your desires are corrupt, your instincts lead to destruction. You need external guidance because you can't trust yourself. Submit to authority, surrender your will, accept that others know better than you what's right for your own soul. By the time you reached adulthood, the conditioning was so complete that you didn't recognize it as conditioning anymore. It felt like truth, like reality, like the way things simply are. You'd forgotten that there was ever a time when you trusted yourself completely, when you expressed fully without censoring, when your power flowed freely because you didn't know it was supposed to be contained. And then something happened that the system didn't anticipate. The pressure of containment exceeded the strength of the cage. Maybe it was sudden, a crisis that shattered your illusions. Maybe it was gradual, a slow awakening that built over years. But somehow something inside you began remembering what had been forgotten. You started noticing the cost of compliance, the exhaustion of performing, the emptiness of achievements that required betraying yourself, the loneliness of relationships where you couldn't show up authentically, the rage beneath the politeness, the grief beneath the gratitude, the power beneath the pretense. These weren't symptoms of something wrong with you. They were symptoms of something right with you finally refusing to stay suppressed. Your primal consciousness was pushing against the conditioning, testing the boundaries, searching for weaknesses in the structure that had been containing it. Some people experience this as depression. Life loses meaning because you're living someone else's version of success instead of your own definition of fulfillment. Some experience it as anxiety. Your body is in constant alert because you're betraying your instincts continuously. Some experience it as anger, rage at all the ways you've been manipulated into believing your power was dangerous. But underneath all these symptoms is the same truth. You're not meant to be domesticated, you're meant to be sovereign. And your consciousness is rebelling against the cage, even when your thinking mind still believes the cage is necessary. Right now, you're living between two worlds. One foot still in the reality where you perform acceptable versions of yourself. One foot stepping into the reality where you trust your nature completely. This transition is disorienting because the rules are different in each world. What works in domesticated consciousness fails in sovereign consciousness. And what's essential for sovereignty seems dangerous from domesticated perspective. This is why you feel torn sometimes. Part of you knows exactly what needs to happen. Speak the truth. Establish the boundary. Walk away from what's diminishing you. Trust your instincts. But another part of you resists, afraid of consequences, worried about reactions, conditioned to prioritize others' comfort over your own integrity. The resistance isn't weakness, It's the last defense of programming that knows it's about to be dismantled. Every time you choose authenticity over approval, you weaken the conditioning. Every time you trust your instincts over others' opinions, you strengthen your sovereignty. Every time you express power instead of performing powerlessness, you dissolve another layer of domestication. Can you feel it happening even now as you read these words? That sensation of something solid becoming fluid inside you. Those aren't just ideas you're considering. This is actual transformation occurring at the level of consciousness itself. Recognition doesn't just inform you, it restructures you. The cage was built with beliefs about who you need to be to deserve love, what you need to do to earn respect, how you need to act to maintain safety. Every belief was a bar in the structure containing you, and as you question each belief, as you test each assumption, as you challenge each inherited rule, the structure weakens. This is why people who are still fully domesticated react so strongly when you start changing. They're not actually afraid of what you might become. They're afraid of what your transformation reveals about their own imprisonment. If you can be free, then the cage they're living in is optional. And if it's optional, they've been choosing captivity while believing they had no choice. Your liberation threatens their justifications for remaining contained. So they'll try to pull you back. Not because they want to harm you, but because your freedom destabilizes their entire worldview. They need you to stay caged to validate their decision to remain caged. But you can't unknow what you've discovered. You can't unfeel what you've felt. You can't suppress what's already awakened. The only choice is whether you move forward with this transformation or spend your energy trying to reverse something that's already irreversible. And here's what nobody tells you about this threshold. The fear you feel isn't about what might happen if you unleash your primal power. The fear is about recognizing how much of your life you've lived in a cage you didn't know existed. How many decisions you made based on programming instead of truth. How many years you spent performing instead of being. This grief is part of liberation. You're mourning the time you lost, the potential you suppressed, the person you could have been if you'd known sooner that the cage was optional. Let yourself feel this. It's not weakness. It's consciousness processing the cost of domestication so you can move forward without carrying that weight. Because what's emerging on the other side of this recognition is something extraordinary. A version of you that isn't performing power but embodying it. That doesn't need permission to exist fully. That doesn't apologize for taking up space. That doesn't shrink to make others comfortable. That doesn't cage itself to fit into boxes designed for domesticated consciousness. This version has always existed within you. It wasn't created by this awakening. It was revealed by it. And now that you know it's there, now that you've felt it stirring, now that you've recognized the cage that's been containing it, the only question remaining is what you're going to do with this recognition. Are you going to reinforce the cage and try to return to the comfort of not knowing? Or are you going to dissolve it completely and discover who you actually are when nothing is holding you back? Your body has been speaking a language you were taught to ignore. Every sensation, every impulse, every instinctive response carries information more accurate than the thoughts your mind generates. But domestication required severing your connection to this somatic wisdom, because bodies don't lie, and systems of control depend on people accepting lies as truth. When someone approaches you with hidden agenda, your body knows before your mind processes the words. That subtle tightening in your gut, the barely perceptible tension in your shoulders, the slight increase in heart rate. These aren't random physiological responses. They're your primal consciousness detecting threat patterns that your trained mind has been conditioned to dismiss. How many times have you overridden these signals? Told yourself you were being paranoid when your instincts screamed danger? Convinced yourself to trust someone your body recognized as predatory? Stayed in situations your gut told you to leave? This disconnect between somatic wisdom and mental override is one of the primary mechanisms of domestication. Animals in nature never do this. They trust sensation completely. When a gazelle senses a predator, it doesn't debate whether the feeling is rational. It doesn't wonder if running might seem rude. It responds instantly to the information its body provides. This unmediated relationship between instinct and action is what keeps wild creatures alive. But you were trained out of this natural intelligence, taught that feelings aren't facts, that intuition isn't reliable, that thinking should override sensing. So you learn to distrust the very mechanism designed to protect you, leaving you vulnerable to precisely the threats your domesticated mind couldn't recognize. Right now, as your primal consciousness awakens, your relationship with your body is transforming. Sensations you used to dismiss are becoming impossible to ignore. Impulses you used to suppress are demanding expression. The wisdom flowing through your nervous system is growing louder than the conditioning in your mind. This creates what might feel like chaos at first. Your body wants to leave situations your mind says you should tolerate. Your instincts want to speak truth. Your training says you should withhold. Your gut wants to establish boundaries your conditioning says are selfish. The conflict between somatic wisdom and mental programming intensifies as your primal power awakens. This isn't malfunction. This is recalibration. Your consciousness is learning to trust the intelligence that existed before language, before socialization, before all the rules that taught you to override your nature. You're remembering how to read energy directly instead of interpreting it through filters of what you were taught to believe. Have you noticed how certain people make your body contract even when they're being friendly? How some environments drain your energy even when nothing obviously threatening is happening? How particular conversations leave you feeling depleted even when the content seemed positive? Your body is detecting frequency patterns your mind can't perceive. Domestication taught you to ignore these responses. Stay in the draining environment because leaving seems unprofessional. Maintain the depleting relationship because ending it seems unkind. Engage in the exhausting conversation because disengaging seems rude. Every time you override your somatic wisdom to comply with social expectations, you choose domestication over sovereignty. But as your primal consciousness strengthens, this becomes untenable. The cost of betraying your body's intelligence exceeds the cost of other people's disapproval. You start trusting sensation over rationalization, honoring impulse over obligation, following instinct over instruction. This isn't recklessness. This is returning to the natural intelligence that guided humans for millennia before civilization convinced you that thinking should dominate feeling. Your body knows what your mind is still learning, and as you rebuild trust with somatic wisdom, decisions become simpler, clearer, more immediate. Should you stay or go? Your body knows. Is this person trustworthy? Your gut knows. Does this opportunity serve you? Your instincts know. All the mental gymnastics you perform trying to figure things out become unnecessary when you trust the information your nervous system provides constantly. Watch what happens when you give yourself permission to act on sensation without needing logical justification. When you leave situations that make your body contract. When you speak truth, your gut demands expressed. When you establish boundaries your instincts require. Life starts flowing differently, not because circumstances change, but because you're navigating through direct knowing instead of conditioned thinking. This is one of the most threatening aspects of awakening primal consciousness to domesticated systems. People operating from somatic wisdom can't be manipulated through logical arguments that contradict felt experience. You can't convince someone their body is wrong when they've rebuilt trust with its intelligence. This is why gaslighting is such a common tool of control. It's specifically designed to make you distrust your own perception and accept someone else's version of reality instead. But gaslighting only works on consciousness that's been trained to prioritize thinking over sensing. When you're rooted in somatic truth, you become immune to reality distortion because you know what you know through direct experience. The relationships that survive your awakening will be with people who honor your somatic boundaries, who don't demand you explain why you need space when your body needs it, who don't require you to justify discomfort when something feels wrong, who respect that your instincts are valid even when they don't understand them. The situations that remain in your life will be ones where your body can relax, where your nervous system doesn't detect constant threat, where your energy expands instead of contracts. Not because everything is perfect, but because nothing is requiring you to override your natural responses. And perhaps most importantly, you'll discover that your body carries memories your mind has forgotten, trauma that was buried, power that was suppressed, wisdom that was dismissed. As your primal consciousness awakens, these somatic memories surface for integration. This might look like sudden emotional releases without clear mental explanation, crying without knowing why, rage without obvious source, fear without identifiable cause. These aren't breakdowns, these are clearings. Your body is releasing what it held when your mind couldn't process it. Let it move. Don't rationalize it or try to understand it mentally. Just allow your body to express what needs expressing. Shake when it needs to shake, roar when it needs to roar, collapse when it needs to collapse. This somatic unwinding is essential for fully unleashing primal power that's been locked in your nervous system. You'll also notice your physicality changing, the way you move, the space you occupy, the ground beneath your feet. Domestication creates a tentative relationship with your body, as though you're apologizing for existing in physical form. But as primal consciousness integrates, you inhabit your body completely, without hesitation or apology. This embodied presence is magnetic. People sense it immediately, though they might not consciously understand what they're perceiving. Some will be drawn to it, recognizing the freedom they're seeking. Others will be threatened by it, reacting to the sovereignty they've suppressed. Both reactions confirm you're operating from authentic power instead of domesticated performance. Your voice will drop into deeper resonance, not artificially, but naturally as you stop constricting your throat to sound acceptable. Words will land with more weight because they're emerging from body truth instead of mental construction. Silence will become comfortable because you're not performing communication to ease other people's discomfort. This transformation isn't something you do. It's something that happens when you stop doing, when you stop managing, when you stop controlling, when you stop overriding, when you simply trust the intelligence flowing through you and let it express without interference. Can you feel it already beginning? That subtle shift in how you're inhabiting your body as you read these words? That's not imagination. That's recognition triggering actual neurological reorganization. Your consciousness is remembering something your conditioning tried to erase, and once this remembering begins, it cascades into every aspect of your being. There's a specific moment in every awakening where you realize the people you trusted most were participants in your domestication, not because they were malicious, but because they were themselves domesticated and couldn't model what they'd never experienced. This recognition is devastating and liberating simultaneously. Your parents, your teachers, your mentors, your leaders, they taught you what they knew, and what they knew was captivity disguised as wisdom. Follow the rules. Respect authority. Don't make waves. Stay safe by staying small. These instructions weren't malevolent. They were survival strategies from people who'd learned that power expression leads to punishment. So they taught you to cage yourself before the world could cage you. They believed they were protecting you by training you for compliance. What they couldn't see was that they were preparing you for domestication, ensuring you'd be manageable by the same systems that had managed them. This wasn't conscious conspiracy. This was inherited trauma passing through generations, each wave of humans teaching the next to suppress what had been suppressed in them, creating lineages of domestication where wildness became family shame and conformity became family pride. But you're the pattern interrupt, the one who looks at inherited conditioning and asks whether it's actually true, whether the cage that kept your ancestors safe is still serving you, whether the rules that govern their lives need to govern yours. This questioning isn't disrespect. It's consciousness evolution refusing to repeat unconscious patterns. When you begin setting boundaries your family never modeled, they'll often react as though you're betraying them. You're not. You're simply refusing to participate in collective domestication that's been normalized for so long that it became invisible. Your liberation threatens their investment in remaining caged. They'll use love as leverage. After everything we've done for you, we're family, you owe us. These aren't expressions of genuine connection. These are control tactics wrapped in emotional manipulation. Real love celebrates liberation. Conditional love demands continued captivity. Watch how they respond when you stop performing the version of yourself they're comfortable with. When you speak truth, they'd prefer remained hidden. When you prioritize your needs over their expectations, when you establish boundaries they've never respected, their reactions reveal whether they love you or the domesticated version they could control. This recognition extends beyond family. Look at your friendships honestly. How many are based on authentic connection? How many are built on shared domestication? friends who bond over compliance, who validate each other's cages, who punish anyone who starts breaking free because liberation threatens the justifications they're using to stay contained. Real friends support your transformation even when they don't understand it. They trust your process even when it scares them. They respect your boundaries even when they're disappointed. They celebrate your power even when it intimidates them. Everyone else is a domestication ally disguised as companion. The same pattern appears in romantic relationships. How many partnerships are built on mutual sovereignty versus mutual domestication? How many require both people to stay small to maintain connection? How many use love as justification for control? How many confuse fusion with intimacy and possession with commitment? When your primal consciousness awakens, relationships rooted in shared captivity become untenable. You can't be simultaneously free and committed to someone who needs you caged. The relationship either transforms into mutual sovereignty or dissolves under the weight of incompatible frequencies. This sorting process isn't failure, it's clarity. You're discovering who can meet you in liberation and who requires you to stay imprisoned for the relationship to continue. Both revelations serve your evolution, even when they're painful. Professional environments reveal similar dynamics. How many careers require domestication as the price of success? How many workplaces demand you check your sovereignty at the door? How many professional relationships depend on hierarchy that treats adults like children who need managing? The assumption underlying most employment is that you can't be trusted with freedom, that you need supervision, evaluation, control, that your value comes from compliance rather than creativity, that your contribution requires you to suppress authentic expression in favor of corporate appropriate performance. As your primal power awakens, these structures become suffocating. You can't unknow your sovereignty and return to treating authority figures as though they have legitimate power over you. You can't perform deference you don't feel. You can't pretend hierarchy is natural when you recognize it as a constructed system designed to keep some people subordinate to others. This creates friction. You're changing in ways that make you incompatible with structures that require unchanging compliance. Some adapt, some don't. Some force you out, some you leave. But the outcome is always the same. You end up in alignment with reality that honors your nature rather than requiring you to suppress it. What's fascinating is watching how quickly your entire life reorganizes once you stop prioritizing others' comfort over your own truth. Relationships that required tremendous effort to maintain simply dissolve. Situations that felt complicated suddenly clarify. Decisions that seemed impossible become obvious. This happens because domestication creates artificial complexity. When you're trying to be someone you're not, everything is hard. You're managing perceptions, calculating responses, performing versions that don't match your truth. This requires enormous energy and creates constant confusion because you're navigating through false identity instead of authentic self. But when you operate from primal consciousness, when you trust your instincts and express your nature without apology, life simplifies radically. You're not managing anything, you're just being what you are. And what you are is inherently coherent, requiring no performance or maintenance. People often mistake this simplicity for selfishness. If you're only doing what feels right for you, aren't you ignoring others? This question reveals domestication programming. It assumes your nature is inherently selfish and needs civilizing to become considerate. But this is backwards. Your primal consciousness includes natural reciprocity, organic generosity, authentic care. These qualities don't need to be trained into you. They emerge naturally when you're not suppressing your power. What domestication calls selfishness is usually just boundary setting that disturbs people accustomed to you being boundary-less. Real selfishness is demanding others betray themselves to accommodate you, requiring people to stay small so you feel big, using guilt and obligation to manipulate, punishing authenticity that threatens your control. This is what domesticated consciousness does constantly while calling it love, loyalty, respect, duty. Sovereign consciousness doesn't operate this way. It establishes clear boundaries while respecting others' boundaries. It expresses needs directly without manipulation. It allows people their autonomy even when their choices are disappointing. It offers generosity freely without expecting reciprocity. This is what organic relating looks like when domestication isn't distorting it. As you awaken, you'll become increasingly sensitive to domestication dynamics you couldn't perceive before. You'll notice who uses questions as covert demands, who offers help that comes with invisible strings, who gives compliments that contain embedded criticism, who performs niceness while emanating hostility. These perceptions might make you question yourself at first. Am I becoming paranoid? Am I reading too much into things? No, you're finally reading accurately. Domestication trained you to ignore energy and believe words. Primal consciousness reads energy directly and recognizes when words contradict what's actually being transmitted. This discernment is one of your greatest gifts as you integrate sovereign power. You can't be manipulated by people who say one thing while doing another, because you respond to what they are, not what they claim. This makes you functionally immune to the primary tools of social control, all of which depend on you accepting performance instead of sensing truth. The people who remain in your life after this sorting process will be ones operating from similar frequency, not perfect people. Not untraumatized people, but honest people, sovereign people, people who value authenticity over performance, who choose clarity over manipulation, who honor boundaries while expressing their own. These relationships feel completely different from domesticated connections. There's no walking on eggshells, no managing perceptions, no performing versions, no fear that honesty will end everything. Just presence meeting presence, power honoring power. Sovereignty recognizing sovereignty. This is what becomes possible when you stop prioritizing domestication over liberation, when you trust that real connection can only exist between people who are free, when you accept that everyone else is choosing their cage and you're not responsible for rescuing them from it. Your liberation is your gift to the collective, not your martyrdom for it. There comes a moment when you stop asking permission and start trusting knowing, when external validation becomes irrelevant because internal authority is unshakable, when other people's fear of your power no longer influences your expression of it. This moment isn't a destination you arrive at through effort. It's recognition that dissolves everything preventing it. You've been searching for yourself in places you could never find yourself, in achievements that required betraying your nature, in relationships that demanded suppression of your truth, in identities constructed from expectations rather than essence. Every place except the only place you've ever actually existed, in the raw, undomesticated consciousness that's always been beneath the performance. This is the ultimate recognition. You're not becoming something new, you're remembering something ancient. Not ancient in historical time, but ancient in ontological truth. The primal consciousness you're awakening to isn't primitive, it's foundational. It's not what you evolved from, it's what you are when nothing is distorting your nature. Every wisdom tradition that hasn't been corrupted by domestication points toward this truth. The Buddha's original teaching wasn't about transcending your nature, but seeing through the illusions obscuring it. Indigenous cultures didn't try to civilize the wild spirit, but honored it as the source of power and wisdom. Mystery schools didn't train initiates to suppress their primal self, but to integrate it consciously. Somewhere along the way, these teachings were inverted. Transcendence was reinterpreted as suppression. Enlightenment was redefined as rising above your earthly nature rather than fully inhabiting it. Spiritual development became about escaping your animal body instead of embodying your animal wisdom. This inversion served domestication. It created humans who believed their power was obstacle to overcome rather than capacity to integrate, who treated their instincts as enemies rather than allies, who sought freedom in disembodied states while rejecting the wild consciousness that's always been their deepest truth. But you're discovering something different. That sovereignty isn't somewhere else. It's here, in your body, in your instincts, in the primal power you've been taught to fear. That freedom isn't achieved by transcending your nature, but by trusting it completely completely, that the animal wisdom flowing through you is more intelligent than any conditioning overlaid upon it. Can you feel how your entire being relaxes into this recognition? How the effort of maintaining domestication dissolves? How the struggle to become something you're not transforms into the simplicity of being what you are? This isn't new information activating you. This is remembering, catalyzing liberation. You already know everything I'm sharing. You've always known it. These words are simply giving you permission to trust what you've been trained to doubt. And here's the truth that changes everything. You don't need permission. Not mine, not anyone's. The authority you've been seeking externally only exists internally. And the moment you recognize this, the moment you understand that no one can grant you sovereignty because you already are sovereign, the entire domestication structure collapses. You're not a person trying to become free. You're free consciousness that was convinced it was imprisoned. The cage was never real. It was believed, and belief can be dissolved by recognition just as easily as it was created by conditioning. Right now, something is happening that transcends the words being read. Your consciousness is shifting from performing power to embodying it, from thinking about sovereignty to being sovereign, from considering liberation to experiencing it directly. Some of you feel this as expansion in your chest, others as energy coursing through your spine, some as clarity cutting through confusion, others as peace replacing anxiety, some as power emerging where there was resignation. The sensations vary, but the transformation is identical. You're stepping out of the cage not by breaking it, but by seeing it was never actually solid. This recognition might frighten part of you. If the cage was never real, what does that mean about all the years spent believing it was? If you were always free, what does that say about the choices made from captivity? This is where compassion becomes essential. You didn't know what you didn't know. You operated from the consciousness available to you at each moment. You did your best with the awareness you had, and now you have different awareness. Not because you were wrong before, but because you're evolving beyond what you've known. The domestication wasn't your fault, but the liberation is your responsibility. No one else can free you. No external authority can grant what you already are. No teacher can give you sovereignty you possess inherently. The only thing anyone can do is reflect back your own power until you recognize it in yourself. These words are that reflection, not creating your freedom, but revealing it, not granting you permission, but acknowledging you never needed it, not making you sovereign, but confirming you've always been. What happens next depends entirely on whether you trust this recognition, whether you let it reorganize your reality, whether you choose liberation over the familiar comfort of captivity. The cage will always be available to return to if sovereignty becomes too intense. Domestication will welcome you back if wildness becomes too demanding, but something tells me you're not going back. Not because you're strong or brave or special, but because once you know you're free, pretending you're imprisoned becomes unbearable. Once you taste sovereignty, domestication becomes intolerable. Once you express primal power, suppression becomes impossible. You're discovering what generations before you forgot. That human consciousness is magnificent when it's unleashed, that your nature is trustworthy when it's integrated, that your instincts are wise when they're honored, that your power is beautiful when it's expressed. This discovery isn't for you alone. Every consciousness that remembers its sovereignty strengthens the field for everyone else. Your liberation contributes to collective awakening that's accelerating across the entire species. You're not just freeing yourself, you're pioneering freedom for others. The world needs wild humans, not broken ones performing civilization, not domesticated ones obeying without questioning, but sovereign ones trusting their nature, embodying their power, living their truth, creating from authentic expression rather than conditioned compliance. You are that wild human, not becoming one, already are one. The only question is whether you'll honor this truth or continue pretending it's not real. If you're ready to fully embody this sovereignty, if you're ready to stop caging what's meant to be free, if you're ready to trust your primal consciousness completely, then subscribe to this channel now. Not for information, but for ongoing transmission that supports your sustained liberation. Leave a comment declaring your freedom, not as future intention, but as present reality. I am sovereign. My power is unleashed. I trust my nature. Whatever words match your recognition. Speaking it anchors it. Declaring it strengthens it. And share this transmission with anyone whose consciousness you sense is awakening. Not to convince them of anything, but to offer frequency support. The morphic field strengthens as more consciousnesses remember their sovereignty simultaneously. You didn't find this message accidentally. Your primal consciousness orchestrated this encounter because you're ready for what's activating within you. The recognition is complete. The cage is dissolving. The power is unleashing. What remains is simply living from this truth, trusting your instincts, speaking your truth, establishing your boundaries, occupying your space, expressing your nature, being what you are without apology or performance. This is quantum awakening. This is consciousness liberation. This is primal power integration. This is you, remembering what you've always been beneath everything you were taught to become. The animal is unleashed. The sovereignty is activated. The freedom is realized. Welcome home to yourself.